First of all, I'd just like to thank Father Steve and all of you here at St. Patrick's just for your warm welcome this weekend. As I'm here to preach this weekend, thank you for your invitation, Father, and for your welcome. Ambition. That's what we look for from hiring the latest CEO to any employee, actually. Even for smaller businesses, to be successful, you have to have ambition. Now imagine this interview. Where do you see yourself and the company in 5 years? Oh, I don't know. I haven't really thought about that one. That kind of answer might not get you the job. But my point is, we look for people with ambition to be successful in anything that we do. In today's gospel, James and John have ambition. Just in the way that they speak to Jesus, you can tell that there's ambition in what they're saying. They say, look here, Jesus, you're going to do whatever we want you to do. To sit on your right and to sit on your left. That's what we want. Essentially, they want to be in charge of this new movement, the kingdom of God. They want the glory and the power. Now, is ambition really like a bad thing in our gospel? To put it in context of chapter 10 of Mark, Jesus and his disciples are on their final journey towards Jerusalem. Once we get to chapter 11, it's Palm Sunday. Right before our gospel today, for the third time in Mark, Jesus predicts that he will suffer, die, and rise again after 3 days. And this third passion prediction is one of the more gruesome of the three. It says they will mock him and spit on him, flog him, and kill him. It's right after the statement from Jesus that James and John put in their request. Now, talk about bad timing. Jesus is showing them what will happen to him, the suffering he will have to go through. But all they can think about is themselves, their own glory, their own prestige. Now, this sounds really bad, but notice that Jesus doesn't just shut them down. He doesn't tell them that their feelings of ambition are bad. In fact, he affirms them for having that ambition. Their ambition is just not for the right thing. And Jesus says, okay, you want to have glory? You want to be great? You want people to remember you? Then you'll have to follow me. You'll have to follow me all the way. All too often, I think we think of ambition as something bad. But it's only bad if it's for selfish reasons. James and John have ambition for all of the wrong reasons. They think that once they get to Jerusalem, Jesus will take up his place on the throne of King David and rule as some earthly king with this iron fist and defeat all of Israel's enemies and oppressors. They want some of that power. They want some of that glory. But Jesus shows them that this is not the power of God. God's glory is something else. But how do we get there? In today's gospel, Jesus uses 2 words to describe what his disciples have to do to get there. He says, are you willing to drink this cup that I drink? Are you willing to be baptized with the same baptism as me? Baptism and cup. Now, when we read this, we might think of 2 sacraments of baptism and Eucharist. Now, they might be related here, and these are very essential parts of our lives, but Jesus, I think, uses them for a very specific reason. First, baptism. Today, when we think of baptism, we think of pouring just a little bit of water on a baby's forehead. But baptism in the ancient world literally meant to be completely immersed in water, like being surrounded with water. Now, if we look at the word cup in the Old Testament, it's almost like a consequence or a sentence. Sometimes a cup is either the wrath of God or a cup of blessing in the Old Testament. So it could be something good and something not so good, all encompassing. Now, a way I like to think of it is this way, that a cup holds everything it contains. It encompasses, it surrounds everything. A cup of soup, for example, contains the entire soup. You know, the chicken and the noodle, the good, and the bad, like the vegetables. Sorry, parents. Jesus uses these words deliberately because he's not just inviting his disciples to some cruel initiation ritual before receiving his glory and the kingdom. He's not telling them, are you willing to be mocked? Are you willing to be flogged and crucified? Glory for God is something much more than that. The cup, the baptism, will involve suffering, yes. But it is much more than that. It also means to serve. He asks his disciples, are you willing to serve like I am? A servant of all, to even the most vulnerable. Are you willing to do that? Are you willing to put others first? That's the true path of glory. So let's get back to ambition. Jesus today is totally inverting what we human beings think of when we think of power and glory. We can be ambitious, but not for ourselves. Our ambition should be to serve others and God first. The ambition that Jesus had was to do the will of his Father. In the Garden of Gethsemane, he says his prayer to his Father, remove this cup from me, yet not what I want, but what you want. Jesus' ambition was on saving the world and to do whatever it took to serve all of humanity, even if that meant to lose all of his earthly power and glory on the cross. That is the invitation he gives to his disciples. But in the end, they just don't get it. They still think and dream in terms of earthly power and glory. And to prove this point,